This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett. And ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 NFL trade deadline has come and gone. And the San Francisco 49ers did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And with me today, I have Dre from Dre Area Sports to react to San Francisco's trade deadline and what was one of the crazier deadlines in recent memories. But like I just said, San Francisco didn't do anything. They didn't get an edge rusher. They didn't insulate the offensive line. They didn't go trade for a future draft pick or trade anybody else on their roster for future draft pick compensation. It was a rather dull and now polarizing trade deadline because San Francisco, with not doing anything, has essentially said, this is your 2025 San Francisco 49ers. There is no trade help coming. This roster, as it is currently made up, has to figure things out and win games if they want to go to the playoffs this year. They are 6-3, but Dre, Niners did nothing. We both had guys like Jermaine Johnson and Trey Hendrickson we wanted them to pick up today, but they didn't do anything. What'd you make of the trade deadline? How do you feel? You seem somewhat depressed right now because of it, but how you doing, Dre?
Not very good. To me, look, I understand that they didn't make a move. I understand that, they decided to stand pat. Again, this is, I hate making the comparisons, but this is like a San Francisco Giants move. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, we were dead in the water. I remember Brian Sabian saying that one year. I was like, why would you say that? And
sometimes being honest hurts, though, right?
It does. So here's the thing: you just lost Quinnen Williams. At the very least, you had to get somebody in here to help the defensive line. Yes, you brought in Cleve Farrell. Yes, you brought in Keon White, but that's not enough. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say, well, at least Bryce Huff's coming back on Sunday.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's a great thing.
It's a great thing, but that's it. There is nothing past that. It's like, yeah, and that's going to do it. He will be the primary pass rusher, and everyone else will be just contributors to this defensive line that's not getting any pressure on the quarterback. I mean, look, you can argue the last time he got pressure on the quarterback was when we had Bryce Huff, putting pressure on Michael Penix. But after losing Quinnen Williams, I felt like you had to make some kind of move to bring in some reinforcements, even if it wasn't like, a Trey Hendrickson, a big name, even like an Arden Key. I'm just saying that's my first choice, but a guy that adds depth that can contribute. But they didn't do that. They did nothing. They just said, you know what? We are what we are. And we're not going to give up our draft picks, even though we haven't proven that we can draft in the first round, second round, even third round. And that's what bugs me the most is you haven't proven that you can do the draft. You haven't proven it. You drafted Quinnen Williams, Alfred Collins, C.J. West. I didn't even see C.J. West in the last game. Maybe he played. I didn't notice.
He didn't play.
He didn't play.
He hasn't played the last 2 games.
Last week he was a healthy scratch. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with C.J. West. Quinnen Williams out for the year.
Yeah.
And Alfred Collins has been a contributor, had the big strip sack, or I'm sorry, the fumble.
Forced fumble against the Rams.
The forced fumble against the Rams. But Walter Nolan shows up, and he has more sacks in one game than Quinnen Williams has in what, 9?
They're different players, man.
They're different players, but it goes to show you, like, was that the right move? I like Quinnen Williams. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I love Quinnen Williams. But Walter Nolan shows up, and he's getting sacks first game.
Let's not let's not steer the NFL draft escapades or the NFL trade deadline escapades towards maybe a failure of a pick or.
Well, but my point is, you lost Quinnen Williams, yet you did nothing to try and replace him.
Yeah, I think. That I think
the injury caught them off guard. Like, oh, okay, you know what? And at the same time, it kind of feels like they're saying, you know what? The season is what it is. Let's not invest too much into it because it is what it is, and let's focus on getting through the season.
So you would say this is San Francisco's brass, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, who I do know for a fact they were in negotiations trying to make.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
It takes two to tango. Let's not forget that. And some teams had astronomical asking prices for some players that really were not worth those asking prices. Looking at you, the Jets for a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. Are you out of your mind? But I do believe that
I would not have done that pick or that trade. Hard no.
Like if you're the Niners. After you lose Nick Bosa, after you lose Fred Warner, let's be honest, folks. The odds this team was going to a Super Bowl was pretty slim. Now, I don't know what your expectation was, or those listening, their expectation was for San Francisco this season. My expectation was never Super Bowl in 2025. It was always retool, kind of reset yourself, reset your money, reset your roster, then reboot for 2026 and 27, hoping that in year two of this 11-man draft class, you can kind of explode into having a great season. But when you are 6-3, when you are in the thick of the playoff hunt in the NFC, you are half a game behind the LA Rams, having a massive, what could be NFC West deciding game in less than a week on Sunday against Los Angeles at home. You're hoping eventually to get back Brock Purdy and then Ayuk and Pearsall. And again, that's fingers crossed those guys return. But I'm with you in the sense that you didn't have to make the big move. Now, I wanted Jermaine Johnson in a big way. I was on social media all day saying, give me Jermaine Johnson. But sometimes the best move you can make is the move you don't actually agree to. And I do think San Francisco, albeit was smart to not trade a second-round draft pick for Jermaine Johnson or overpay for a depth piece, there did need to be some sort of agreement that we just need to have bodies to make it through the year.
Yes.
And San Francisco is somewhat hindered because they have 8 draft picks next season, but 3 of them are right now expected fourth-round compensation picks, not locked-in picks, which does make negotiating hard to do. And that, I'm sure, in some capacity to hold the Niners back from making actual deals. But you just need bodies. Guys are dropping every single week, and I think you did owe it to your team, Trent Williams, who's 36 years old, Christian McCaffrey having an offensive player of the year type season, young guys playing above their skis. You owed it to them to at least insulate yourself in some capacity to help make it through the year. Because, let's say Bryce Huff comes back and then Clelin Ferrell goes down and then Bryce Huff goes down again. And you're on the precipice of not losing stars. You're going to lose your second and third string dudes that have nobody else left, which it does feel like San Francisco smartly didn't want to give away what they viewed as valuable draft picks of the future, but also not punted, but kind of said we got to be honest with ourselves. And that really hurts the fan base. Fans are irate right now, but we don't have what it takes to make it this year. And it's not worth risking what could be 2026 valuable picks or 27 valuable picks, knowing that this year is somewhat of a lost cause, which sucks, but that's kind of where San Francisco is at. The expectation was playoffs, not Super Bowl. And now it's, can you just survive the year and hopefully win some games and maybe make a surprise run? But I'm caught in between the fans of, you didn't make a deal, you failed, how dare you, you owe it to the team, but also on the other side of what move could San Francisco have made that wouldn't have broken their bank or their future draft pick collection that would have helped them win this season? Hendrickson wasn't coming over. The ask was too high. He wasn't going to help you win this year, and you weren't going to re-sign him. Jermaine Johnson, for as good as he could be, the asking price was way too high, and he isn't worth the second-round draft pick.
Yeah,
I don't know what the Dolphins wanted in Bradley Chubb or the Titans wanted in Arden Key, but it seemed like it was really high knowing what the Jets were doing today. But my God, trading away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner and just gutting their entire defense. The edge rusher market may have been simply too high for San Francisco in this one. And I have a theory that Had the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones not bucked over 2 first-round draft picks, or a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick and a Mozzie Smith for Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson would be a San Francisco 49er right now.
Well, yeah, he overpaid for Quinnen Williams.
I believe that firmly. That Jerry Jones and the Cowboys screwed San Francisco over on accident, but it certainly happened that way.
Well, and I'm sure he doesn't care that he screwed them over. He's probably like, oh, good.
Not at all.
That's a good thing. But here's what I want to say. If Michael Williams doesn't go down,
yeah,
do you think that gives them more incentive to make a move? Or do you think because he went down, they said, you know what, we're a little too decimated, it's not worth giving up what we got to get a guy in here?
It's a good question, because I don't know if they make a deal either way. Like, let's be honest. You walk into week 10 with Mike Hill and Bryce Huff, you feel better about yourself, certainly, but, I don't know if that even incentivizes them to make a splash or a small move to say, yeah, you know what? Like, it might make them feel better that they have more depth. You got Keon White. You have Clelin Ferrell, William Bradley King, Robert Beal. Those guys aren't very good by any means, but, they can help you.
Robert Beal, he sucks.
Yeah,
he does nothing. And a poor guy. No. I'm sure he's a great person, but he does nothing. He doesn't get any pressure. He gets no push. Great athlete. Can't do much with it.
But I don't know if Mike Hill's healthy. I don't think San Francisco was basing their trade deadline plans on Mike Hill being healthy. I think in their mind, had they walked into this Tuesday, today, the deadline day, with a healthy Nick Bosa and a healthy Fred Warner, they buy some pieces. The minute those guys went down, they said, we know we can't win without those guys in the playoffs. There's a real chance on Sunday against the Rams, and I know the division games are tough, and I get that, but Matthew Stafford could throw for 400 yards, and I'd say, yeah, I can see how that happens against this defense. That's how bad they've been at times this year.
But that's the thing, is that, like, you got to move the quarterback. If you can't move the quarterback, a guy like Stafford, he's just going to carve you up. And if that's what he does on Sunday, all I'm going to be thinking about is you did nothing. You couldn't get anyone in here to at least, like, even if you couldn't get a premier pass rusher, couldn't you get somebody in here for reinforcements for depth?
Yeah.
But you got nothing. And so now it's like Clelin Ferrell and Keon White, that's your move. That's the move you made to reinforce. And then you lost Michael Williams in the process. And CJ West, what happened to him? He was the guy that I was like, hey, I feel like this is going to be the next coming of DJ Jones. He's going to be a huge surprise. Nothing. I thought he looked good early on, but ever since he hurt his hand, it just seems like he's fallen out of favor, especially in the rotation on the D line. So I don't get that. But
so I do know for a fact that San Francisco was in negotiations with the Dolphins for Chubb, with the Jets for Jermaine Johnson, and with the Titans for Key. But all of those teams wanted a 4th round pick or higher. The Jets obviously wanted the 2nd round draft pick, and that's what kind of caused San Francisco to say no, which makes sense. But, I just wonder if San Francisco kind of set themselves a hard limit and said, we can't pass this. And if teams start to ask for more than, let's say, a 4th round draft pick or whatever it could have been, maybe it was a 3rd round pick, I don't know. Like, you clearly are not trading a 4th round draft pick or a 3rd round draft pick for Arden Key. You're not doing that for a year.
Absolutely not.
You're not doing it for Bradley Chubb. And I wouldn't even, I think we'd agree here, not even trade a 2nd round draft pick for Johnson, who I like a lot, but despite me liking him a lot, him fitting the defense, him knowing Robert Saleh, the fact is he's coming off an Achilles injury that cost him the entire year last season. He was banged up early in the year, and there has to be a limit to what you're willing to pay for guys like that. And next year, albeit still under contract, that's his 5th year option.
Yeah.
He's going to be somewhat expensive. And I think San Francisco said, you know what? We can stand pat. We can hopefully beat the Cardinals, who are playing good football now that they're healthy on defense. We have a good shot to beat the Panthers. We can beat the Titans. After that, one more win. Can we get to 10 wins? Seattle looks good. The Rams look really good. Mm-hmm. Like right now, San Francisco is the current 3rd best team in their own division, because the Seahawks and Rams look that good, and they're not in a place to buy to catch those teams. Now, if they were healthy, sure, but the injuries have decimated San Francisco, not just on the field, but it decimated their ability to go out there and make trades to help them win now. I think that's what fans maybe don't want to admit, because fans on Twitter and X are like, John Lynch should get fired. He should be a failure. They don't want to go to the playoffs. That's not true. But sometimes you have to sit back and really take in what's in front of you. Ask yourself truthfully, does San Francisco have enough to go to the playoffs? And if they go to the playoffs, be a Super Bowl contender? I know my answer. It's no. So why go all in for a year like that?
I think this is a team that on if it leans on its core, on its experience, it can get into the play, obviously into the playoffs and hopefully into the second round, divisional round. Who knows? Because now you're banking on, okay, is Brock Purdy going to round into form and help lead this team into the playoffs?
Right.
Just high aspirations for this season have all come crashing down with all these injuries. Obviously no Bosa, no Warner. That's the two biggest ones. Like, oh my God, now no Quinnen Williams. So the once deep defensive line is now super shallow. And that's tough. And then you got Yetur Gross-Matos, who just can't seem to get healthy. And when you look at what the Cowboys gave up for Quinnen Williams,
right, which was a first-round draft pick in 2007, a second-round draft pick in 2026, and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, who I think was a first-round draft pick.
He was a first-round draft pick.
So really, it's two first-round draft picks in a second. If
that's a lot to give up for Quinnen Williams,
and they got to pay him in 2 years.
And to me, Jerry Jones said, my offense is so good this season, I have to do something. I have to do something. And now they're 3-5-1. That's hard to say. It's a mouthful. And here's the thing. They should really Niner fans. Okay, here's what I want to say. Okay, now I'm going to kind of flip the script here right now. Niner fans. The Cowboys made this major move, right, to get Quinnen Williams. They're 3-5-1. We're 6-3. So we, like Sterling said, 4 more wins. Sorry if I do math right. That's 10 wins.
Get to
that
10.
Pretty much assures you that you're going to have for the most part, it gives you a high chance of making the playoffs. Yeah. The Seahawks and the Rams don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
No, they are better than San Francisco is. I'm sorry. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. They are. They're healthier too, which also helps a lot.
We beat both teams.
Yeah, they're playing different football now. Like the Rams are on a heater like they were early in the season. San Francisco without Fred Warner is not beating the Rams. If they do, my God, it's a miracle, which miracles can happen. But I mean, come on now.
It's the way the season has fallen. I mean, it wasn't like the Niners came into the season, they were like, man, they got some massive holes everywhere. A lot of the main guys that they were going to lean on are out. Like we said, Bosa, Warner. Yeah. Bethune has played extremely well. I know a friend of ours was saying that he was playing terrible. He's doing really, really well. He's gotten a lot of tackles too.
Two of 3 games have been really good so far for him.
Yes. No one wants to talk about the Texans game. That was just.
Oh, I mean, it was terrible.
It's like they all went on party night before and they didn't sleep. I don't know. But not getting anybody at the deadline, it just sucks, man. I mean, at least even last season, they brought in Khalil Davis, and at least it was somebody.
But he retired after the year was over.
Then he retired. Yeah, I was like, oh, great. But this is it.
But that's a good point, though, because like fans saw, and I think this is a big thing. You saw Dallas, who lost last night to the Cardinals, to Jacoby Brissett and a young Cardinals defense in prime time. They lose, and they still are out there buying pieces left and right, trying to get better for now and the future, overpaying, if you will, and kind of putting themselves in a bind. You're seeing teams, like the Seahawks getting Rashid Shaheed, buying pieces, capitalizing on their really good start. You're seeing teams like Philadelphia buy Jalen Phillips, Jacksonville buys Jacoby Myers. You're seeing teams like Chicago buy Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, someone I would have wanted San Francisco to get. You're seeing bad teams or teams that have a worse record than you buy at the deadline, and San Francisco says, wait a minute, not for us.
So are you saying, though, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is San Francisco a contender this season?
For what, though? For what?
For anything. I mean, it's one thing to get in the playoffs.
6-3. Like, the Niners are, yes, a playoff contender. That is a through and through fact. They are 6-3. They're a playoff contender. However, I do not think they're an NFC West contender. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. And I think they're set up to be maybe at best a second-round knockout in the playoffs. Guys are hurt. Their best guys are out. They don't have their quarterback, their 2 top wide receivers. They don't have their 2 top edge rushers. I know Huff's back, but Michael and Bosa are gone. They don't have the best linebacker in football. I'm not saying they can't be successful, but this team is not worth buying and risking the future for.
Yeah, but you got to remain competitive. You have to do something to bring in some reinforcements. Maybe not, obviously not like a Quinnen Williams, because look, if the Niners made that trade for Quinnen Williams and they gave them that, I would have been like, are you kidding me? And what first round pick are we going to send them? We're going to give you an injured Michael Williams.
Well, you trade him. I mean, theoretically, if you think about it, the only reason why the Jets made that deal is because the Cowboys are 3-5-1.
Okay,
That's
so
the only reason why the deal was made.
Right. So Strawberry has a good point. Are they going to remain competitive? I feel like
they can. Like, this is the exact same team they've had basically against the Giants, right? Minus Michael. I get that. And like, this team can still, like, they have a great coaching that has helped them win games against 6 other teams this year. And this is my thought. San Francisco said, we have been good enough to get us this far. We've been good enough to be 6-3. Yes, guys have gotten hurt. We haven't had Nick Bosa since week number 3. And since then, it's not been perfect. We've lost a lot of games. We're 3 games above 500. And we may not be good enough to go to the Super Bowl, but we're good enough to be competitive and go to the playoffs. And I think they're kind of hoping, fingers crossed, because all you can do is hope now, that their trade deadline looks like the return of Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jacob Cowing, Jake Brendel, Ben Barch, Bryce Huff, and Yetur Gross-Matos. That's a lot of hopes, ifs, ands, and buts, but there is a world where San Francisco gets a handful of those guys back, and they are, at least on paper, a much better team. Now, the defense is cooked. Let's not get that far. They're cooked. But this defense always was going to struggle. They're young. Even with Bosa and Warner out there, they're going to be holes. They were going to win games they weren't supposed to win. They were going to lose games they were supposed to win. That's how things were going to go. And I think now we're sitting here in week number 9 going into week 10. So, they sat on their hands. And I get it. I wanted them to make some moves at the right price. But I can see John and Kyle sitting back saying, hey, like, we have a lot of impending free agents. We're paying a lot of guys. We need these draft picks. We don't have, like, if San Francisco had picks in around 5, 6, and 7, we're having a whole different conversation. They don't have those picks, though, and that's a problem. They cannot trade a conditional 5th round pick for a Draymond Jones. They don't have that pick. That's that kind of what changes things for them. They have picks in round 1, 2, and 3, 4 in round 4, 3 of them being maybe compensation picks, and then round 7. They don't have the day 3 ammunition to make deals like this. So
you think this Sunday Niners are going to lose?
Yeah, but I always had them splitting games with the Rams. So, like, I'm not out here being like, oh, man, the expectations are tarnished. Or, like, this always was my expectation.
But it kind of sounds that way. It kind of sounds like you're saying, hey, look, it is what it is. It's been kind of a squirrely year.
It is what it is.
Let's just get through it and let's hope we're competitive. I mean, look,
through it.
This is not Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, you make the playoffs, you're like, oh my God, we did it. This is incredible. In football, if you're in the Niners, you're expected, like, hey, you got to make the playoffs.
Sure,
and,
I get
and
that.
the thing is that in Major League Baseball or even in the NBA, you make the playoffs, you're in a series. You're in football, it's one game.
Yeah,
and you lose, that's over.
It's
done.
I get that, but we're also sitting back thinking that, we still have one of the best offensive minds in football, be it the offense has guys out. We have Robert Saleh, who has coached his ass off all year and made really players that shouldn't be this good look better outside of the Houston Texans game, right?
Okay.
Like I think there is some validity to, it depends on who you play. The NFL is all about matchups, right?
Right.
Like, the Texans are not a great team. The offense has had its issues. The defense is great, but like, the Texans are not as good as the Rams are, and San Francisco beat the Rams in overtime. They beat Seattle off a Hail Mary, thank God, touchdown from Brock Purdy, Jake Tunges.
Jake Tunges.
Like, it's not as if
we also didn't have we lost Kittle that game too, so he was a big part of the plan for that game.
And like, I get it. I want to get an edge rusher. I want to be better. I want to be healthier. I want to be competitive. But I think a lot of fans have the expectation of, 2026, weakest schedule in football. Here we come. Going to make a big splash. No. This team cannot afford. Everyone's discussed, the core is aging. The window's closing. How do you reopen the window? You recalibrate. You restock with young guys. And San Francisco realizes that, hey, this year was a really good step in the right direction. So was last year too. But we have to do that year after year after year before you can truly say we're back. And I think 3 draft classes of good picks, which so far it's looking like that way so far. If they can do that again in 2026, they're going to be in a good spot. But they can still be competitive. They're 6-3. They may lose on Sunday against the Rams, sure. But then you have the Cardinals on the road. Then you have the Panthers and Monday Night Football at home. You have the Bears, who have been inconsistent. They allowed 40 points against the Bengals, who are terrible. Mm-hmm. And you have the Titans. You win 4 more games over the next 8 weeks or so, you're in the playoffs most likely. They can do that with this bunch or with guys getting back that are healthy. Now, I get it. You wanted to make a move. You wanted to make a splash. This team was never going to break the bank and go all in this year. Even if they were really healthy, if they were healthy, they're probably getting an Arden Key. They're probably getting a small ancillary piece to help them. They're not trading away a first or second round draft pick for Jermaine Johnson or Trey Hendrickson. They're not doing that. They're not giving up more than a 4th round draft pick because that's kind of all they have. They have picks earmarked. They have to get a tackle, a guard, maybe a center, an interior defensive lineman, maybe a cornerback. They 1,000% have to get a safety next year. Mm-hmm. They know who the guys on the roster are. But this year, let's be honest, the hope is somewhat fleeting, and nobody they were going to get was going to change that for this roster. Nobody. Hendrickson wasn't saving them. Johnson isn't saving them. They have to kind of bite your tongue and hold yourself back and say, you know what? I have to live to fight another day. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it really is the truth.
The Niners are currently sitting with a 78% playoff probability that they'll make the playoffs. Okay. And it's pretty good for a team that's lost Bosa, Warner, now Williams, which is such a huge blow. Not only for the Niner fans, but for the roster. I mean, what message does this send to the veterans on this team, to the young guys on this team? Hey, how do you address this? If you're John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan, how do you address not acquiring anybody at the trade deadline?
Well, it takes 2 to tango, right? You can say, hey, we'll give, I don't know, let's just say, give you a 4th round pick for Jermaine Johnson, right?
They kick the tires.
Yeah, well, right. You can try, but it's like anything. When I was younger and I was trading football cards on the playground, you can say, hey, I have this amazing card you want. And some guy's like, I'll give you Neil Rackers from the Cardinals for it. I don't want a kicker for my Jerry Rice signed card. I want all of your cards. What are you talking about? That's how trades work, right? It's like watching Pawn Stars. The person comes in and the guitar's valued for $15,000 and Rick says, hey, I'll give you $7,000 for it. And you're like, what are you talking about? Because they have to make a profit off it too. And San Francisco was not willing to meet some teams' asking prices, which, knowing the market, makes sense. Knowing the market, the Bengals wanted too much money or too high of a draft pick, and the Jets wanted too high. Sometimes it can look like you messed up or you failed or you didn't do your job and you didn't put your team in the right place to succeed. But let's ask the right questions here. The only reasons the Ravens traded for Jermont Jones was because Lamar Jackson's healthy. That's the truth. The only reason,
absolutely.
The only reason the Colts traded away 2 first-round draft picks and Adonai Mitchell for Sauce Gardner was because they somehow believe Daniel Jones is the future of that franchise, which having a heck of a year so far, but you're calling me in 2 or 3 years when you don't have your first-round draft picks. The only reason Jacksonville made a move today was for a rental piece. Rashid Shaheed has connections to Clay Kubiak, and it was a 4th and 5th round draft pick.
Yeah.
He's their 3rd best wide receiver. He has a role, sure, but San Francisco was not getting rid of that for rentals or 3rd and 4th round draft picks. Had San Francisco had a 6th-round draft pick, Joe Tryon-Choyinka is probably in San Francisco right now. They don't have a 6th-round draft pick. Like they didn't have the ammunition necessary to buy cheap rentals, and they didn't have the desire to push to buy high-end pieces either. They were stuck in the middle and couldn't do much anyways.
So looking at the depth chart when it comes to San Francisco and their defensive line, because obviously that's the major topic of the team at this point. Yetur Gross-Matos recently just went back on IR. So he's out for how many more weeks? 4?
4 more. Yeah, 4 more.
4 more weeks, okay? And that started when? Last week, I want to say, right? Or does it start this week?
That started, I believe it starts last week because he's on IR on Saturday or Sunday morning. Either one.
So that's the Giants, the Rams,
Cardinals, Panthers.
He'll miss all those games. And even when he comes back, we don't even know if he's going to be able to recover from this. His hamstrings are like rubber bands at this point.
Dude, I heard that Matt Barrow said that Cowling has had 4 separate hamstring injuries this season.
That's crazy.
Hamstrings are the vein of San Francisco's existence right now.
And so you look at it, your starters are Bryce Huff, Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, and Sam Okwanu.
Yeah.
Your backups are Robert Beal, Kevin Givens, Alfred Collins, Keon White. CJ West is somewhere in purgatory, just waiting around to play.
He's in Robert Sala's doghouse right now.
Yeah, he must be. You know what I mean? We're not there every day. I mean, there's things that happen behind the scenes. He's probably like, man, this guy. But Cleveland Farrell, I would imagine, it needs to get a roster spot at this point.
Well, they put Mike Kellen
Williams,
IR. You'd assume Cleveland makes the roster. Like that's reserved
I mean,
for
you're
him.
not going to give it to William Bradley King. You're not going to give it to Evan Anderson or Sebastian Valdez. It's got to be Cleveland Farrell. And Farrell most likely is going to. I would imagine he's going to end up becoming more of a starter.
Yeah, he'll probably be your base down edge rusher because he's a good run defender. Yeah.
Yeah, ahead of Samo, I think. Or you have Samo and him on each end, and Bryce Huff on third down. Bryce Huff needs to be more of a third down pass rusher.
You can afford to not play Bryce on almost every single down now, though, because you're so depleted.
You can't. I mean, you got Keon White, but he's more of an interior guy, but he can play both.
Yeah.
We saw Robert Beal out there last week. I mean, as ineffective as he was still out there. So
I think he had one pressure.
I think he did. Sam almost got he was reaching out for him one time. I saw that.
He had a sack on Sunday against Jacksonville.
No, he had a sack. Cleveland Farrell had the big sack where he came from behind.
Smacked the crap out of Dart.
Like,
laid him out.
Scared the crap out of him. Like, oh! Yeah. But it's just tough to see this banged up team, especially on the defensive line, which it's funny because we started the year talking about the health of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And he's been available the entire season.
That German witch doctor, whatever he did, man. So
it's
worked.
Look at it this way.
Send the entire team out there to Germany if you can. Please.
Look at it this way. The Niners last year did not have Christian McCaffrey. He was hurt for the majority of the season, came back for 3 games, I want to say 4 games, and he was out. Yeah. If they would have had McCaffrey healthy at the start of the year, that's the only thing different about last season is Christian McCaffrey. Do you think we would also be 6-3 at this point?
Last year or this year?
Last year, if we had McCaffrey healthy. Because, I mean, already this year, we've had an easier schedule.
Sure. I mean, the Niners probably beat the Vikings. They probably beat the Rams last year early in the season. They probably beat the Cardinals in the first game. Like, yeah, I mean, sure, that's fine and all. And, last year, though. Like, I just think this year, now that Christian McCaffrey is healthy and your defense is all torn to shreds, your offense has to be the carrying force of the team. Like,
it has to be.
Like, let's play the what if game because that's really all San Francisco can do at this point in time. If the Niners get back Brock Purdy, which I don't know if it's ever going to happen this year, it may not, it might.
Isn't that sad to even say that? Like, he might not even come back.
And like, Mac Jones has played really well, but there's a clear limit to how far the team can go with him. But, it's if you can get Brock Purdy back, I think the Niners believe if they can get Purdy and Pearsall back, it exponentially increases their playoff chances. And I don't think that's too crazy to say, despite the injuries they have on defense, I think they can somehow make that work and hold teams to 24 points a game. And if the offense can score 28, you're in a good spot. Now, that has yet to be seen this year outside of the game against the Giants, but I think there is maybe some thought in the building, at least, that, look, of course, we wanted to make a trade today. We couldn't get it done for obvious reasons. Teams wanted too much or too high of draft picks for us to say yes to. But if we can get Purdy and Pearsall back, just those two guys, our playoff odds go from 75% to 80% maybe. It gives us a higher chance to go to make a run somewhere. Like, Mac Jones is playing good football, but if you can get your top receiver back and your quarterback returning, like, that's a big change for you and a big boost for you. And so I can see San Francisco kind of saying, you know what? We don't need to press now and give away the future, knowing that and there might be some belief that those guys come back soon and they're going to be okay. But that's a big if. It's a big if. But I do think that is what the thought in the building is, that guys might come back soon, and that is our trade deadline moves right there, getting healthy, which really isn't something the team should bank on, knowing how bad it's been this year. But I do think that is their thought process. And
Brandon Ayuk, again, they're like, hey, we're not going to open his practice window. It's not ready yet. I mean, if I had to pinpoint, if he comes back, when will he come back? I think against Carolina. I think that's a realistic spot, but that would mean that his practice window would probably have to open after this week. Yeah, starting next week, he'd have to have a couple of weeks of practice to get back in the rhythm of things. They're not gonna activate him on Monday and then be like, okay, you're gonna play on Sunday. Like, wait, what? Are you sure? So I think Carolina is when he comes back. I don't think it's against Arizona on the road. Obviously, it's not going to be. And then we have the Browns too, and that's another game the Niners should be able to win. But the problem is that when they go against teams that have a mega pass rush, they're Jim Schwartz, man. They're dead in the water. Like, Okay, so I'm gonna ask you two questions here. Okay, go ahead. One, do you think that this Niners 2025 trade deadline was a failure? Yes. Okay. This is the first time, I believe, since 2018 they have not made a trade at the deadline. Keon White, I know, was a trade this year and a couple last weeks, but ever since 2018, they kind of have not made a trade at the deadline, right? It was Jimmy Garoppolo in 2017, 19 it was Sanders, 20 it was getting Jordan Willis and trading away Quan Alexander, in 21 they made some deals and so on and so forth for Menahue and guys like that. But this is the first time since 2018 they have not made a deadline deal. You're calling it a failure. I'm saying it's smart business. I think they made the right decision to not, get rid of the future to help this team win now. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but I think it's the truth and the right move. But I do want to ask you this. Do you think not making a deal significantly hurts their playoff chances? Do you think San Francisco will miss the playoffs or might miss the playoffs because a deadline deal was not made? Yes. Because they have struggled to get pressure on the quarterback. We saw last week, and to me, last week, as good as they played, they were going against a really bad New York Giants team that didn't have Cam Scatterboo, didn't have Malik Neighbors, had that rookie quarterback who showed a lot of promise to me that this guy could be really good in Jackson Dart. Sure. But their defense, you could argue, hey, they got one hell of a pass rush. Well, we didn't really see it all that much. And they couldn't stop the run. They were ranked 30th against the run. And Niners exploited that, which they should have. Okay. Right there, though. Niners exploited a really bad defense on offense, scored 34 points. The defense was actually pretty good besides the fourth quarter. Why can that not translate? Not the exact same way, but why can you not translate that into success against teams like the Cardinals, the Panthers, who have been inconsistent all year, beat the Packers? I get that, but that was more so the Packers playing down than the Panthers playing good. The Browns, who have been bad all year, young quarterback, albeit Jim Schwartz is out there, could be a tough game. Then against the Bears, who have been a roller coaster ride the entire season, and the Titans. Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, Bears, and Titans, why couldn't you at least win 4 of those 5 games? I mean, the thing, too, is that that's a wild card right there. It is. When you look at the Rams, I mean, they're not like in terms of defense, they're not in the top 10. You know, they're kind of they're in the teens.
And San Francisco beat their defense with almost this exact same offense.
Well, I should say the Rams' total defense is ranked 10th, but their passing defense is ranked 13th, and their rushing defense is ranked, where'd it go? 11th. So, I mean, they're not
just out of the top 10, basically, of defense.
But they're not world beaters.
But even the Rams, they have a fatal flaw in their secondary. Quentin Lake is amazing. We love him in San Francisco, but they got Roger McCreary to play cornerback because the rest of those guys were terrible. Like those guys, their secondary is not good, right? Their front four is really good. It makes their secondary look better than it actually is, and San Francisco exploited that secondary against them a handful of weeks ago. Okay, but Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Quinnen Williams, Puka Nacua, they are carrying that team. Carrying them. And then they're great. I think San Francisco's probably going to get their butt kicked on Sunday against the Rams. Okay, the Rams are probably a top 3 team in football. The odds that happen anyways, even if you were healthy, were pretty high. Okay? Right. But if you win 4 to 5 more games, which you have easy scheduling to do so, I don't see why this deadline is like, oh my God, the season's over. Oh my God, fire John Lynch. Oh my goodness, catastrophic. They didn't do anything. We'll just pack it in. It's not the case.
I think what it is that even if he gets to the playoffs, you didn't acquire that big player that can get you past the first round and maybe even surprise you to get.
Which player was that though? Maybe I shouldn't ask you that.
No one asked me that question.
But like, which player do you think had a reasonable asking price? Because that's the problem here. It's not that San Francisco didn't want the players or they didn't try to make deals for said players. They wanted Chubb, they had eyes on Key, and they wanted Jermaine Johnson. All those things are true. They couldn't get a deal done because the asking price was too high. So what player at a reasonable asking price would have altered this current roster? None.
The only one that would have altered the roster is if they went out and got a big name, but they'd have to give a lot to get them.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a guy like a Trey Hendrickson, or it'd be a guy like a Quinnen Williams, or it'd have to be a big name guy that you're like, holy crap. My fear was that the Seahawks were gonna get one of those guys, and it's like, oh God. Because I mean, look, when you look at the whole trade deadline, the biggest winners, of course, was the Philadelphia Eagles. They got the pass rusher.
Yeah. You know, it's Jaden Phillips, and they got Michael Carter from the Jets. Yeah. They made some deals, but let's be honest, man. Like, there are tiers to this thing, and the top tiers in the NFC are the Rams, Philadelphia. Packers are probably in that tier 2 because they've been playing so inconsistent. When they're on their game, they're probably in that top tier. Then it's like. Then it's kind of like I'm the Lions and the Seahawks. It's nobody else.
If you want, so for the Niners to remain competitive, for the Niners to make the playoffs, they can only afford to lose. I guess 3 more times. It'd be 10-6.
They played 9 games. They have 8 games left.
Yeah.
No, if San Francisco plays 500 football, they should go to the playoffs. It's very rare, albeit last year Seattle won 10 games, didn't make it in. It's very rare that a 10-win team does not go to the playoffs. Very rare. If they play 500 football, they should be in the wild card at least.
If they beat the Rams on Sunday, that's going to be huge.
Sure.
The Cardinals.
Even if they lose that game, they can still go to the playoffs.
I know, but the Cardinals, I'm worried about their pass rush because it's getting better.
Yeah.
I think we beat Carolina.
That looks awesome out there.
He always does. He's great. I love that guy.
Good.
he's the he's like that one quarterback that is a backup everywhere he goes, but when he comes in, he's always playing good. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, it's great. Like back in the day, he was like Rodney Pete. He'd come in, he'd get it done. Even Jeff George, when Jeff George was a backup, he'd come in, he'd get it done. John Kitna, he'd come in, he'd get it done.
Kitna, man. John Kitna.
But then when you made Kitna a starter, it was awful. They figure him out. He looks like shit. You're like, oh, never mind. But as a backup, great.
He was the Sean Hill of the 49ers.
Yeah.
Dude, Sean Hill looked mobile for 2 games. Hey, we might have an answer here. The next Sunday, it's 4 interceptions, and you're like, how do we lose 35-1? How do we score 1 point? Impossible.
after the Niners lost to the Vikings on the Brett Favre Hail Mary, that was the end of the season. After that, nothing worked right. Sean Hill looked terrible. It was just like, all right, this is over. Okay, so looking at the schedule ahead, we have the Rams this Sunday. I think the Niners can still win this game. This is gonna be the hardest game of the season. Maybe you still got the Colts, and they're really good, and they got Sauce Gardner.
Sure. Yeah, but the odds are Daniel Jones would play down to you more than Matthew Stafford will.
Yes. Stafford is, he's a whole new level.
He might be the MVP this year. He's been that good.
Then you got the Cardinals in Arizona.
Yeah.
Winnable game.
Yeah.
Their defense is going to make it tough, but their offense, I don't think, is really all that good. Carolina, which we should be able to beat. The Browns, that's the game that scares me because we're in Cleveland. It's a 10 a.m. start time, Pacific time. And the pass rush is going to be a problem.
But if that's the game you flub, okay? You have 8 games left, right? You played 9, you have 8 games left. If that's the game you mess up, that's okay. Like, yeah, you don't want to, but theoretically, they can lose against the Rams and win 3 of their next games. I mean, win one more game and they're basically in.
But you end the season, you have the bye week, which is in week 14, which is like, ugh. And then you got
I love that, actually.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Indy.
Winnable game. Tough game.
Chicago.
Winnable game.
You never know what Bear team you're going to get. And then Seattle. And so when you get to Seattle, you're hoping that it's a game where you're already in and you could just send Adrian Martinez out there, have him throw the ball around a little bit, have some fun.
Well, you hope that actually. Well, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe if Brock Purdy comes back week 18, Mac Jones doesn't even play. Maybe you're so scared Purdy gets hurt again.
But still, like when you look at they have to beat the Cardinals, they have to beat the Panthers, and they have to beat the Browns. Dylan Gabriel, he sucks. There's no way that he's going to carve them up.
Kevin Stefanski's should get fired out there in Cleveland.
I think he's a good coach, but he's going to get fired.
He's giving up play calling duties for a second time in 2 years.
What did he do?
He's giving up offensive play calling duties for a second time, back-to-back years. How did he not get fired the first time? You're doing it again.
All right, I'm going to give this up. You guys take over. Come on, man. You should have just let them do it from the start. And that goes to show you how good Kyle Shanahan is because he's the one calling the plays. Tennessee, God forbid, we should be able to win that game. And we're at home.
Yeah, they'll win that game.
Indianapolis, in Indy, I think they get smoked. I think we lose that game.
Just chalk it up as this. They have 8 games left. 5 of the 8 are winnable. The ones against the Rams, Colts, and Seahawks are going to be tough, but 5 of the other ones are winnable against the Bears, the Titans, the Browns, the Cardinals, and the Panthers.
The Bears could be the biggest swing game of the whole season. Like, you've got to capitalize on this.
But if you go 4-4, you should at least have like a 95% chance to get in.
And really, in this season, no one team is really running away with anything.
No. Well, you're right. Yeah, no.
I mean, the Eagles
are, but the Cowboys and the Commanders are terrible.
They're terrible. But I mean, looking at, the Buccaneers, they're 6-2.
Sure.
But they're not
also injured to all hell.
But they're vulnerable. The Packers are pretenders. I'm not sold on Green Bay whatsoever. I know you're very partial to Green Bay. And then there's the Lions. I think if there was any year,
even the Colts lost this past weekend, though, and Daniel Jones looked terrible against the Steelers, and the Steelers are mid-team as well.
I think if there was ever a year for the Lions to get to the Super Bowl,
it's this year.
It has to be this year. I mean, look around you.
Right? They're going to play the Rams at SoFi, and Stafford's going to cook the crap out of that defense, man.
And it's over.
It's over. I do want to ask you this, though, because much has been made of Niners not capitalizing on being 6-3. And the fans are very irate about that. And I think that, would you rather, I know you aren't happy about them not making a trade. You had to make a move. Mick Maddow in the comments.
You got to get somebody in here, man. You had to.
And I'm on board with that, but I can justify why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think that, maybe it's me personally, I'd rather have 8 draft picks, 7 of them maybe from rounds 4 and up, than trade for a rental piece this year or trade a second round draft pick away for a guy that can help you this year and next year. I don't think San Francisco misplayed this at all. And that's weird saying that because obviously you want them to be aggressive. I had guys, Jermaine Johnson, I wanted them to get really bad. Had they got Jermaine Johnson, I would have been obnoxious today. But they didn't do that. And I think that they played things correctly. You have guys that are getting older. Purdy's getting older, albeit he isn't old yet. Fred's getting older off an injury. Bosa getting older off a third ACL injury. Kittle getting older off a hamstring injury. McCaffrey getting older, albeit healthy so far. You just never know with him. And so, I don't know if you Trent's getting older, has a bad ankle and a bad knee at times. I don't know if you could afford to deal away your draft picks in 2026 to help justify this team. This Niners team is not that good. They're good enough to compete. They're good enough to go to the playoffs, which I guess it really makes them a good team. But I just mean, in the grand scheme of things, they are not a Super Bowl contender. They are a borderline playoff contender, which I think they always were. I think they were never going to be 12-5 or 13-4 or 11-6. I think 10-7 at most.
I think they could have been if they were healthy.
I mean, sure, healthy. The young guys have played better, but I think the way the season goes, there's always ebbs and flows, and the odds are at some point the rookies are going to play down and they're going to make mistakes. Now, yes, they played better early in the season. Had they been healthy, maybe. And they would have exceeded the expectations set for them. But because my bar was always kind of middling of they can go to the playoffs, but I wouldn't expect too much. Maybe that's why I'm not too bothered by today whatsoever.
Where they really got to capitalize is they have what? They have 4 fourth-round picks.
Maybe. Based on compensation formula. Yeah.
Yeah. If they're able to hang on to those, that's huge. But we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, obviously, they have a first-round pick, second-round pick, third-round pick. They have to hit on all 3 of those picks, first, second, and third. They have to hit. And these guys have to be good.
Hitting, I think the way you can, and you are right in the sense of the picks that you were unwilling to move, you better make sure you hit on them now.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't going to trade a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson, fine. That second-round pick better be a good player. If you didn't want to move, I don't know, a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick for Bradley Chubb, who under contract for 3 more seasons and no guaranteed money after this, you better make sure the player gets good, not a Tyrion Davis-Price or a Danny Gray or a Trey Sermon like that, not an Isaac Guerrero.
Because if Chubb got you
an impact player.
If a 3rd-round pick got you Chubb, I probably would have done it. Just say, hey, I got to get somebody in here to help this pass rush. Luke Gifford, go sit on the bench.
Does it make you feel better, though, the fact that the guys that San Francisco was negotiating to acquire, Arden Key, Bradley Chubb, at some point Trey Hendrickson, Jermaine Johnson for sure, nobody else got those guys either.
Nobody did.
So that to me also makes me feel better. Of well, if we weren't going to pay it and nobody else would, then we aren't a sucker for doing so.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the Eagles were offering 3 first-round picks for Hendrickson because they did it for Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett just signed a contract. So they're like, hey.
And that's also a rumor. It's not even maybe true.
Still, if they did that for Myles Garrett, I mean that's a lot. But like you were saying, they were late first-round draft picks. You know what I mean?
And also, they're the Philadelphia Eagles who have guys under roster control for years to come in. They have young guys on the defense ready to go. This is their window.
And then Brandon Graham was like, you know what? I'm going to come back up from retirement. I'm going to come help you guys. Fuck.
Well, right. And I don't know, man.
Why'd you retire in the first place? That was so weird. I was like,
and you think about it, you said the Eagles were the big winner and they got better than most teams did at the deadline. Even the guy they got, Jalen Phillips, having a great year. Obviously, when he's healthy, he's a great player. He's had a lot of injuries. There's no promise he stays healthy either. So it's really, when it's all said and done, I know it's a kind of looking to the future, but the Niners could make out pretty well not making any deals. I get it. It sucks. I want them to make moves, but
at the end of the day, this is a season that's going to be predicated on, can we get to the playoffs and remain competitive? And we'll see what happens when you get in the playoffs. And that's really what they're hoping for is let's just get in the playoffs and let's see what we can do.
If the Niners make the playoffs this year, however, division, wild card, whatever, if they at least make the playoffs, would that make this trade deadline of no moves at all for the first time since 2018 rather meaningless and make them look better in the process? Or would you sit back and say, well, you could have won the wild card game had you gotten an edge rusher?
If they get in the wild card game and they don't get a sack and whoever they're playing against carves them up, again, you didn't get a pass rusher. But, I mean, when you look at the AFC, can they beat the Bills? Probably not. Can they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?
Yes.
I don't know.
Steelers are not that good, man. That defense hasn't been good besides 1 week this year.
Can they beat the Broncos at 7-2?
No.
Can they beat the Patriots at 7-2?
I would possible. No, because Drake May's playing really good football, but
it's weird to say this.
Defense looks like down the stretch of the season. You know, we'll see. They're on a heater right now, but I don't know what they look like in 2 months.
And still, teams like the Ravens and the Chiefs are yet to make a run, which they're going to really soon because
just chalk it up to this, man. Like if the season ended today, Philadelphia gets the first round bye, they're the number 1 seed. The Buccaneers host the Detroit Lions, and San Francisco's playing in Seattle. Can San Francisco beat Seattle in Seattle in the wild card round?
They've done it before.
I mean, I'm not saying they can't.
They need to get their guys back.
Like, there's a good chance that they're going to be in that game at least till the end. Like, the odds Sam Darnold punks the San Francisco 49ers is pretty slim.
Is he going to do to them what he did to the Commanders?
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
Probably not. The Commanders' defense is worse than San Francisco's is, and the Niners have 3 of their top guys out.
Did you see that those posts about the Niners could look to reacquire Deebo Samuel? Like, oh God, let's not go there. Come on, man.
Why would you want to? Why?
Can you imagine?
He's not helping the Commanders at all.
What if that was their move? Is they reacquired Deebo Samuel? I'd be like, what are we doing right now?
Then I'd be more mad than I am right now.
they gave up a 5th round pick, or they don't even have one.
The 5th round pick they don't even have.
Yeah, it would be one of the 4th round conditional picks. Like, hey, you never know.
And I also think that what we don't take into account is like, yeah, San Francisco didn't capitalize on being 6-3. There is no it's not out of possibility that Sam Darnold, December comes, he falters like he did last year. Maybe Matthew Stafford, who's 37, gets hurt, and Jimmy Garoppolo's playing games down the stretch for the Rams, albeit
you never know.
Stafford's a dog, and he's a great player. I'm just saying it's possible.
It's possible.
The Bears just lost their top edge rusher on Sunday. Like, injuries pile up. The NFL is crazy this season.
Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Gone.
It's not as if other teams aren't going to get hurt. It's not as if other teams aren't going to play down to opponents. And it's not as if San Francisco, despite making no deals at all, can't be competitive and go to the playoffs this year. And I think the outlook for 2026 looks better because of that. Because, there is a sense of if you play worse and you get a higher draft pick, wow, those draft picks really are more valuable. But also, even if you went to the playoffs and made a move, you aren't good enough to go to a Super Bowl. You don't have Bosa. You don't have Fred. You maybe have Trent if he stays healthy and guys like that.
Is there a scenario? I know we got to end this pretty soon.
Sure.
Is there a scenario where San Francisco somehow finds a way to make it to the Super Bowl, or do you think that's just not going to happen?
I mean, there's always a way, right?
Brock Purdy would have to play out of his mind. The offense would have to play extremely well.
But I think that was always the case. Even if they were healthy, the offense was always going to have to play out of its mind to go anywhere.
Think about it. They might get Brock back this week. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
If they get Pearsall sometime soon, Ayuk, hopefully. But, I mean, is there anyone else I'm forgetting that we're like, on the horizon?
Matos might come back. Cowing might come back.
Cowing isn't going to do anything. Jordan Watkins is just out there running routes.
If Sky Moore is off the team, I'm going to be a little happier about that.
I think Sky Moore's doing a great job.
Taking punts out of your own 10 is not a good
I
job.
know. What
Dre.
is he thinking? I'm like, what are you playing, Madden? Let that bounce.
Dude, I looked at one point, I think against the Buccaneers, we were all complaining because he was taking balls out behind his own 10-yard line. He had like 13 fantasy points that Sunday. I go, he's 1,000% gambling on himself. There's a reason why he's taking
well,
the balls
and
out
they brought it up to Kyle Shanahan. He was like, yeah, that's not good.
It's a problem. Yeah,
that's a problem. Yeah, I was like, oh, fuck.
Like, you're not happy. That's why Brian Robinson's now doing kick returns primarily for them. They said, Sky Moore, get out the way, please. Please.
Yeah. Scoot over.
I don't know, man. Like, I know it's trade deadline today. I know fans are upset. Fans are calling for John Lynch at Kyle Shanahan's head.
I don't think John Lynch should get fired or Kyle Shanahan, but I think that it just sucks that we couldn't get anyone in here to help the defensive line because that was the biggest area of need. We knew we were getting receivers back. We got our tight end back. Our offensive line got better. We got Spencer Burford. That was a huge upgrade from Connor Colby. Oh, my God. I saw huge holes on that left side that I hadn't seen all season. So I was like, yeah, I like that. And look, Ben Barch is around the corner as well.
Yeah. Can I toss you my conspiracy theory out there?
Oh, gosh. All right, let's do it. I love conspiracy theories.
Okay. So I think the Niners. I'll rephrase.
If you talk about electrical power grids, I'm
EMF
gonna leave the stream
waves.
right now. I'm
the
out of here.
Waves, the red diversity in the Niners color scheme. No, I was gonna say that had the Jets not traded away Quinnen Williams for what they got, first round draft pick, 2 years, second round draft pick this upcoming year, and Mozzie Smith, had he stayed, had he not got upset, had he not said I want out of here, I think they would have been more inclined to trade Jermaine Johnson, and the asking price wouldn't have been a second-round draft pick. I think Jerry Jones, while not purposefully, did screw over San Francisco. I think because if you think about it, as soon as you trade away Quinnen Williams, there's no reason to trade away Jermaine Johnson under contract for 2 years.
Yeah, there's no point.
So I think Jerry Jones screwed him over.
I think he did because he kind of belligerently went for the biggest name he can get. And it's kind of weird because, I mean, I guess you could have made that same offer for Trey Hendrickson. They probably would have taken it like, yeah, let's go. But I think that's the guy he wanted, and he was able to get him. And I think he's only 26 or 27. So, you know, but yes, I think it definitely screwed over the Niners because then they were like, okay, do you want this guy? Look what we just got for Quinnen Williams.
It's like,
what are you going to give us?
Yesterday's deal is not today's deal, you know, or yesterday's asking price isn't today's asking price.
We're talking high draft picks here.
We do have 2 super chats. We may be in trouble with one of them, but we'll get to that one last. The first one is Tommy Huxley. He says, looks like it's practice squad poaching season.
I think so. I think they're scouring the practice squads.
That is tacked on to Leon Sandcastle's comments of poach young high potential players, Logan Brown, Essa Pohl, Powell Ryland, Holland Pierce, Jake Majors, Kobe Bryant, and Mo Kamara. I loved Mo Kamara 2 years ago out of the draft. I was so mad the Dolphins got him. Kobe Bryant would be a fun pick to have on the practice squad with the Falcons, I think, currently. I'm not opposed to it. I think now that the Niners didn't get an edge rusher, I think you will see them poach somebody or sign somebody else to the practice squad. I think we can agree Clelin Ferrell probably getting signed to the active roster for the rest of the season. And then they'll go try to sign somebody else. Maybe Saleh hits the Carl Lawson market. He was in New York when Saleh was there, I believe, signed a pretty big contract, got hurt, didn't come back.
Maybe they go out and get Manny Lawson. Who knows? Asante Samuel, they said he's ready to come back.
Asante Samuel Jr., yeah, but dude, he had spinal neck fusion.
I know. I read that. I was like,
he might die on the field. Keep me away.
What if he go head first by accident?
Dude, I want him to stay healthy, and I think he's a heck of a player when he's healthy. But no.
I'd be like, dude, take the year off, please.
Which I mean, I don't know. He's in week 9 now, going into week 10. Maybe he's healthy. Maybe he's worked out and everything. We have our second super chat though. And it is our final comment of the show because we might be in trouble. Aaron, our good friend from 49ers First Take, says, hello, guys. Thanks for the invite, by the way. It was last second, Aaron. Don't worry. I needed somebody in a pinch. I had to go pick up my wife right now from work, but it was a pinch. And we'll talk to you on Friday. Cover 3, don't forget, It's going to be a great show. Week 10,
Yes.
Rams-Niners trade deadline discussion as well. Stay tuned for
Aaron.
that on YouTube. Aaron hosting, I think, this Friday should be a fun show. But he says, by the way, they are punting on this year, all in on 2026. I think that they're not punting. They just realize the reality of their team, and yes, are probably all in on 2026, barring the health of the guys on the roster.
I think they realized that at the end of the day, they were kind of dead in the water in terms of getting an impact player. I think the trade for Quinnen Williams, it shot the market way up.
Yeah, it did.
And they were like, son of a bitch. Well, I guess that's going to do it for us.
Well, that's that. That's that.
Luther Farrell, you're our big acquisition. Keon White, you're our big acquisition.
Yeah.
And, I think secondary wise, I mean, their safeties have not been the greatest, but they actually have some depth there with Mustafa and
Brown and Siegel and Pinnock.
Yeah, Brown, Siegel, and Pinnock. And, the corners, I think Darrell Luter has done a good job when he's been asked to play.
Yeah.
Ronaldo Green.
He was phenomenal against the Giants backup receivers. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was like, these guys suck. That's what we thought they were going to do against the Houston Texans.
Yeah, which
I don't know what happened there. They were just like, it was the no pass rush. It was the no pass rush.
Well, I don't even think it was that. I think it was playing soft off zone coverage. Salah's coverage scheme killed us that game. But nonetheless, here we are. The San Francisco 49ers do nothing. They lose at the trade deadline, this 2025 trade deadline, as they see Quinnen Williams go from the Jets to the Dallas Cowboys. They also see players like Sauce Gardner go to the Indianapolis Colts, who week 16, Mooney Ward on one side, Sauce Gardner on the other, when the Niners and Colts link up in week number 16 this season. They also saw players like Jacoby Myers go to Jacksonville, Rashid Shaheed go to the Seattle Seahawks, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka go to the Chicago Bears, Trevor Penning go from the Saints to the Chargers. Joe Alt's out for the rest of the season. So is Rashawn Slater. They get their now third tackle this year. Jalen Phillips goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jermaine Jones goes to the Baltimore Ravens. And Logan Wilson also goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Players like Breece Hall, Bradley Chubb, Jermaine Johnson, Arden Key, and Trey Hendrickson all stay put in what was one of the more active trade deadlines in recent memory. Drop your comments down below. Tell us what you think. Did San Francisco fail? Should John Lynch be fired? Or are you saying pump the brakes? They're going to be just fine. Breathe. 2025 is far from over. Dre, thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you on social media and on the podcasting platforms.
You can find me at Dre Area Sports on X, Instagram, and on Facebook as well. Definitely find me on Facebook. I'm trying to grow the account on Facebook. And, of course, you can find me at Dre Area Sports on YouTube. If you want to support the channel, just go to my website, DreAreaSports.com, and become a member of the community. Or you can do it on Patreon. It's up to you. Either way. But, yes, find me on YouTube at Dre Area Sports. Like, share, and subscribe. All you gotta do is hit subscribe, and you've done wonders for my channel. So I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. I was going live 3 times a week, but work has been so crazy that been kind of. That's why when you brought this up, I was like, oh my god, yes, please, please, I gotta go.
Dre was more desperate to be and do some content today than San Francisco was to get an edge rush.
I was more desperate than Aaron was.
Oh, we love you, Aaron. Thank you so much for Dre for being on the show. Until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett. You can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or the Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And if you want to see your 2025 no trade deadline edition San Francisco 49ers play this year, use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett. Dre, thank you so much. And as always, stay faithful.